The Catholic Morning Show.
Thank you to Father Felix for his testimonial. As we are fond of saying, Iowa Catholics Radio is not just for Iowans, it's not just for Catholics, but for everyone as we try to connect people to Christ and His Church on their faith journey. Thanks for tuning in this morning. We've got a great show coming up for you tomorrow. Father Chris Rising obviously will join us as he does, or he has been throughout this season of Easter to help us look at the Sunday Gospel, and we'll have much more to share with you tomorrow, so make sure you join us at 7 a.m. here on the Catholic Morning Show. But right now I want to turn to our guest here. He's been joining us for a few Thursdays now. We're going to continue our walk through the Ten Commandments, and I've asked Alexia Baker to stay here in studio with me because she and I are at different places in life, and as we explore this Fourth Commandment with Ed Van Buskirk, we're going to, I think, get some interesting insights. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Deacon Campbell.
Yes, and so the Fourth Commandment, give us the commandment in its entirety. Now, let me preface this. What we could have said is if we were coming at this from a Protestant perspective, we might have a slightly different Fourth Commandment. But as Catholics, what do we look at here as the Fourth Commandment?
Yeah, this commandment is what the words that we read is honor your father and your mother. But we don't often hear the second half of that same verse. Honor your father and mother, that you may have a long life in the land the Lord your God is giving you. This is about the future. This commandment sets up the future for the children and how children learn how to honor their father and their mother and their sister and their brother in the home is how they're going to likely honor people outside the home. And as they honor people outside the home, it sets the stage for how well they're going to have good friendships and how their life is going to go going forward. This is an incredibly important commandment. And the thing that really I realized when I was really studying these commandments is that this commandment is about, for the children, they need to honor their father and their mother. But where do they learn and how do they learn how to honor? It's from us. It's from their mother and their father, from their aunts, their uncles, their coaches, their teachers. Children look to us as adults to learn how to honor others or how to dishonor others. And so how those choices are made and how those examples are given to them truly sets the stage for the future of that child. It's an incredibly important commandment, but it's mostly for us adults.
Well, I think that's an interesting idea that you present. I'll kind of tongue-in-cheek, but with some sincerity. As we've raised, my wife and I have raised our two children, we would often remind them when we'd go as a family to the Sacrament of Reconciliation to make sure they confess number 4, right? But the idea here of honoring our mother and father, particularly as adults, it's not limited to just our as we reflect on this and examine our own conscience, not just on our mother and father, right?
Well, I think you might be alluding to the children honoring their father and their mother as they're being raised, but us as adults, as we see our parents, our mother and fathers aging and needing assistance, needing help along the way, this is a way that we're called to honor our mother and father, the people who gave us life and nurtures us in various ways. And, many of us are blessed with wonderful, great parents and a great relationship, but some are, they look at their parents and there's a lot of baggage there. And so it can be very difficult to do. But this commandment has with it, as we truly in love honor our father and mother in their old age, there's so many blessings to be gained from that experience. Blessings for them, but blessings for us and for our children and grandchildren as we do this. My mother and father, they set the example for caring for my grandparents as I was growing up. And that set the stage for me and my siblings to see how to love when it's not easy to love sometimes. And when my mother and father, they needed help as they were aging, my siblings and I, we gathered around and we provided the same care and love that we saw our parents and our aunts and uncles provide. And that sets the stage for our children to care for us. But as they care for us, it sets the stage for our children to be cared for by their children. God's wisdom in how this all works is just so beautiful. And the blessings that we receive not are just about our care, but my wife, for example, she went out and spent some time with her father as he was nearing the end of his life, and they had some baggage there that they had been carrying, and that time, just those quiet moments, gave the two of them some time for some real heart-to-heart talks, and it mended their relationship in those final days. And what a blessing that's been for my father-in-law, but especially for my wife, who's able to let go of some of those things. It's a wonderful commandment, and the honoring at the early stages of life and in the late stages of life are all a part of it.
Well, let's talk about that just a little bit, Ed, if you don't mind. Where this idea of honor it doesn't mean it will be absent of disagreement or wounds within a relationship. In fact, some of our deepest wounds take place from the people we love most, or the people that we wound, or those we love most. Talk about this idea of honor within the challenges of a familial relationship.
Yeah. We don't have to always agree, but we can disagree with respect and with that honor. The way that we listen, the way that we respond, and the tone of our voice can express our ideas in a much better way. And to have those conversations and to not let our emotions get the best of us, but regardless if it's our parents or our children, whoever we're working with, as we be mindful that true honor of others is done with care and respect, and our emotions, while they're important, emotions are important. We need to make sure that they don't lead us in our conversations, and that we look at the other person as best we can with the love that Christ looks at them, and the way that we would want them to respect us. And so this commandment, it's about honor in the home because that's where it starts, but this honor, it carries outside the home and the interactions we have with people on the phone that help us, with the support center, with the clerk at the store, with the people that we drive with, alongside with on the roads. This call to honor it carries throughout all of our lives. And when we see dishonor, when we experience dishonor, when we're the source of dishonor, we don't have the joy that God wants for us. And honor brings us joy and brings us into relationship with others. And as we are called into relationship with others, it leads us into relationship with Christ.
We're speaking with Ed Van Buskirk, founder and president of If You Love Me, and our weekly walk through the 10 Commandments. And we're spending time this morning on the Fourth Commandment: honor your mother and father, so that for our future benefit, as we're talking about here. And I know Alexia has some thoughts. A question for you, Ed.
Yes, hi, Ed.
Sure.
So,
hello, Alexia.
Hi, I am not a mother myself. I'm a godmother. And so I was wanting, I know kind of right now my godson is almost 6. So it's kind of that I'm not really helping too much with faith other than pray for him and then remind him how to speak to his father and mother as being an example. And so certain things like that, when they're at that age, as being a godparent, is just to remind them, it's like, hey, that's not how you talk to your mom. That's not how, hey,
exactly.
You're asked to do this. You must be obedient. What would maybe be a tip that you would give to godparents out there to, as maybe they start getting older? I mean, he's not at the point of reason yet. He's not 7. He's going to be soon. But what are maybe some tips that you can provide for us godparents?
Yeah, I would say catch them in moments when they are honoring and respecting others. Point that out to them so that they can see what it looks like, how it's supposed to look, and recognize it and be cognizant of it, instead of just catching them when they didn't ask for something in a kind way. They demanded to get a glass of milk, or instead of saying, "Mom, may I please have some milk?" When they say it well and properly, to just encourage them to continue to do that would be one thing that I find effective with my grandchildren, who are about the same age as your godchild.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Ed. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's and so as we kind of wrap up our conversation on this Fourth Commandment, Ed, what are again some of the resources maybe that you can point to, or ways that we can, when we're making this examination of conscience, of recognizing where we have fallen short in living out this commandment?
Yeah, one of the ways, going back to Alexi's question also, and yours, Deacon, is have the commandments at home. Put the commandments up on the wall. And when you talk about how to honor others to your children, go down the list of commandments. Well, when we honor others, we don't injure others. In the fifth commandment, you shall not kill. That goes beyond just killing. It goes beyond killing somebody's feelings, their emotions, their self-esteem. Teach the kids with the commandments. We honor other people by giving them life, by encouraging them. We don't lie to others. We don't steal from others. We don't do things to others that would be harmful. The way that we honor them is to be generous with them, not just not steal, but be generous with others and show honor. We don't just not lie, but we always make sure that we're truthful to others. And this is the commandments in themselves are a great lesson on how to teach younger children and ourselves how to live out the fourth commandment and honoring others. And if nobody has the commandments on their wall, or someone doesn't have the commandments at home, we encourage you to go to our website. We've got a variety of different commandment images that you can download and print off and put in an 8x10 frame. You can put them on your home, give them out as gifts, housewarming gifts, send them off to kids at college and so forth, so that we can all live these commandments and honor one another better. Our website is godsrecipe.org, GODSRECIPE.org. And there's a variety of other resources as well.
I love that, and I think that's a great encouragement, great reminder. I'm one who operates well with visuals. I love to use the Ten Commandments as an examination of conscience, and I really like that we're taking this time to go sort of commandment by commandment and taking a deeper dive. And Ed, thank you so much for coming on the Catholic Morning Show to share your insights. And again, want to direct people towards your website, godsrecipe.com, correct?
.org.
godsrecipe.org. Thanks for that correction. Ed, we'll look forward to exploring the fifth commandment, which you already sort of gave us a little tease there in as we look at thou shalt not kill and what that encompasses. Have a great Feast of Pentecost this weekend, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Very good. Thank you so much. Have a joy-filled day.
Listen to the Catholic Morning Show weekdays at 7 a.m. Central on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network, iowacatholicradio.com, or the Iowa Catholic Radio app.